Is anyone else out there having a hard time saying the title of this movie, Civil War, without thinking about Captain America and Iron Man fighting?
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Civil War. A team of military-embedded war journalists embark across a dystopian future America divided by a civil war, and on their way to Washington, D.C. before rebel factions descend upon the White House and the president they are meant to interview.
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol. Every instinct in me says this is death.
Every time I survived a war zone, I thought I was sending a warning home. Don't do this. But here we are.
Alex Garland, the filmmaker and writer, I have a complicated relationship with his work. While I think he's a fantastic writer, his movies that he has directed haven't always personally hit very strong with me. Like, I really did enjoy Ex Machina, but Annihilation and especially Men just went right over my head. I was like, what? Like, what? Why? So I felt like coming into Civil War, I was kind of like, all right, let's see it all. Alex Garland, I thought he knocked it out of the park with this film. This is a harrowing, hard look at life, that what could be in the future for American society. Pulse-pounding thriller action film that is equal parts scary, interesting, entertaining, while at the same time not being a very rewatchable film. It is a great film, but I don't know if I would necessarily want to rewatch this movie over and over again.
It's making me watch!
There are some elements that are very disturbing and upsetting, as it should be, because it is an anti-war film meant to tell a story that is a cautionary tale, while at the same time really putting forth some interesting conversations about America and the world that we're in and the status quo and the differences that people are feeling towards each other now more than ever, even though we should be as a species coming together. And there are some really controversial conversations that I'm sure will come about from this film. Yet I thought it was awesome, and I thought it was Alex Garland's best film, or at least one of his best movies he's ever done, right up there with Ex Machina and 28 Days Later and Sunshine. But this movie was such an experience in the movie theater. It is a film that is meant to put you on the front line with these journalists in these action set pieces as they are taking a road trip across this dystopian future of America. And it is so well choreographed, shootouts and the chases, and oh man, the amount of tension that is built throughout this film. Like, I was on the edge of my damn seat the entire time.
That was so scary. Thank you.
The movie's like almost 2 hours long, yet it felt like an hour and a half because it just moves at such a fast pace. Yet the movie's not afraid to stop and pause and live in these quiet moments throughout the film. And it's these wonderful, beautiful, yet scary moments.
It's beautiful, man!
There is legit greatness sprinkled throughout this film in these individual moments and scenes that I thought, Alex Garland, this might be like him at the top of his game. I thought it was incredible filmmaking. The way that the camera moves throughout some of the scenes and is not afraid to show stuff and just let it linger. The editing where like the journalists would take, pictures during the action scenes where it's really loud and you're getting bombarded with all these bullets and gunshots and things blowing up and people screaming. And then they would take a picture and it quiets for like a quick 2-second photo and then jumps back into the action. And I just really loved the way that they executed the editing and the filmmaking. The cast was amazing, led by Kirsten Dunst, Wagner Moura, Kaylee Spaney, Stephen McKinley Henderson, Jesse Plemons, Nick Offerman, and it is a really interesting cast. And whether it's a big part or a small part, I thought all of the actors were amazing in this film, but Kirsten Dunst and Kaylee Spaney were fantastic.
Oh, God, it's so good.
Even if the characters weren't as fully fleshed out as I would like them to be, and I'll get to that in a minute, the performances were great, and I really liked these characters, and it was a fun ride to be in on the car with them, and in the moments where they're in trouble and in peril, and especially the action scene at the end of the film. The last 30 minutes of this film is this big set piece, and I thought it was just awesome filmmaking, great action, amazing performances, well directed by Alex Garland. Mwah, benissimo.
No chef's kiss. No kiss.
There is some legit beautiful, amazing cinematography in this film. Like some of the best I've seen in this year so far. The cinematography and the screen, how they fill up all this information on the screen with being subtle and having just these fine details was just gorgeous to look at. While I think this is one of Alex Garland's best films, to me, it's not quite a masterpiece. Like I really wanted it to be, and it's so close to reaching to the stars for that sort of status of film, but it doesn't quite get there. And there's a core element that's missing to this film. And after I took some time to think about it, to me, it really comes down to the character development and the writing of these characters. And like, they do some really dumb things as character choices in the film, and it's fine, I can get over that, but there never really seemed to be a growth, and the film is not focused on these characters, and that's fine, but then it's hard to fully invest in them if we're not emotionally attached to them. And then there's a thing at the end, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but the ending was a little bit wah, and it just kind of pitters out a little bit with certain character choices that the writer and director decided to execute. And it just didn't really make sense, or it just felt very underwhelming. And that's too bad because the movie has so much force and momentum and power in its story and the way that they, follow these characters and throughout these perilous adventures and these crazy scenes and things that they have to go through. Yet, the heart and soul of this film is kind of lacking. It's missing at times. I wish that they spent a little bit more time of us getting to understand why these characters do what they do more in depth than what they go through in this film. And again, it could have been a lot more of a boring movie and a lot slower paced of a film, but that's just how I felt when I left the film. There was about 2 times throughout this film where music kicked in certain scenes, and I was like, wow, okay, interesting. He's making choices here. He's making choices.
Choice. The problem is choice.
Really, the biggest thing is the lack of character development and, connection emotionally with these characters throughout this story. But generally, like 90% of this film is fantastic. I thought it was great. It's a little bit of a different movie than what people were maybe expecting, but you know what? It's Alex Garland. When has he ever done something that is expected in the genre that he's working in, for whether that's Ex Machina or Annihilation or Men, 28 Days Later, Sunshine? Like, all of his movies that he has either wrote or directed are not a typical genre film. Honestly, this might be the most typical filmmaking version of a genre that he has done so far, but at the same time, it's Alex Garland. He's not going to do what most people are wanting or expecting. I love this kind of stuff. So to me, a film like this that's so visceral and real, raw, and has just like gut punch right to the stomach, letting us experience it as an audience. To me, that is amazing filmmaking. Before I get my final thoughts on this film, let me know in the comments down below, what did you think of Civil War? Were you a lover of this film? Were you let down by Alex Garland? I would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Also, while you're down there, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Thank you so much for doing that. Overall, this is an excellent film. I definitely recommend it. Go check this out in theaters. It is so worth it. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Civil War an A. Thank you so much for checking out Mr. Teach Film Preach. I hope you all had a great time. Come back and check out some other video reviews such as Monkey Man, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and Love Lies Bleeding. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Stay focused, stay awesome, and as always, let's get taught.